हेलो स्टूडेंट्स, आप सभी का हमारे चैनल विद्या क्लास 10th में स्वागत है। इस क्लास में हम देखेंगे क्लास 10th बायोलॉजी का चैप्टर ह्यूमन रिप्रोडक्शन। इस क्लास में हम देखेंगे स्टूडेंट्स इस चैप्टर के फुल चैप्टर के नोट्स और जो भी इसके इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन आंसर्स है और एनसीईआरटी क्वेश्चन आंसर्स है वो देखेंगे विद डायग्राम्स। ये स्टूडेंट्स इस वीडियो के अंदर आपको नोट्स के साथ में जितने भी डायग्राम्स है हर टॉपिक्स के साथ में उसके डायग्राम्स भी मिल जाएंगे, तो इस वीडियो को एंड तक ज़रूर देखें। ये नोट्स बहुत ही ज़्यादा इफेक्टिव है और ईजी लैंग्वेज में है, जिससे आपको एग्जाम में हाई स्कोर करने में बहुत ही ज़्यादा आसानी होगी। तो इस वीडियो को एंड तक ज़रूर देखें स्टूडेंट्स। तो चलिए हमारी वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं। हर पेज को रीड करने के बाद स्टूडेंट्स मैं उसे लैंडस्केप में करूंगा, जिससे आप उसका स्क्रीनशॉट भी ले सकते हो और बाद में उसका प्रिंट आउट भी निकलवा सकोगे बाद में रिवीजन करने के लिए। चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं हमारा चैप्टर ह्यूमन रिप्रोडक्शन। इसका जो फर्स्ट पॉइंट है वो है रिप्रोडक्शन। इट इज़ अ लाइफ प्रोसेस बाय विच न्यू ऑर्गेनिजम्स आर फॉर्म्ड बाय द एग्जिस्टिंग स्पीसीज। Second point, significance. What is significance of reproduction? The significance of reproduction is to maintain the continuity of species. Next topic, types of reproduction. What are the types of reproduction? So there are two types, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Next topic, difference between asexual and sexual reproduction. So first we'll read about the asexual, then we'll go to the sexual reproduction part. In asexual reproduction, only one parent is required. No variation takes place. Gametes are not formed. It takes place in lower organisms. Example, amoeba, rose. In sexual reproduction, two parents are required. Variation also takes place. Gametes are formed. It takes place in higher organisms. Example, human beings or dogs. You can take the screenshot after pausing the video, students. Next, modes of asexual reproduction. So there are different modes of asexual reproduction. First is the binary fission, next multiple fission, budding, fragmentation, regeneration, spore formation, vegetative propagation and tissue culture. Next, so we'll start from the binary fission part. So in binary fission, first point is bi means two and fission means splitting. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which one parent body is divided into two new daughter cells. For example, amoeba and leishmania. Leishmania is an organism which causes Kala Azar and it's a unicellular organism. So here is the diagram, students. You can find this diagram in NCERT book also, NCERT book of science. Take the screenshot. Next is our multiple fission. First point, multi means many and fission means splitting. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which one parent body is divided into more than two daughter cells. Example, Plasmodium forms a cyst wall under unfavorable conditions and divides repeatedly to form new daughter cells. Next point, under favorable conditions, cyst wall breaks and newly formed organisms is released out. This mode of reproduction is called multiple fission. Example, malarial parasite. You can see the diagram, students. Next is our regeneration. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which a single part of parent body will form completely new organisms. Since this reproduction is based on regeneration, regenerative property, therefore it is known as regeneration. Example, planaria, starfish, hydra, etc. So it is a diagram of planaria. Next, our topic is budding. It is a mode of asexual reproduction in which parent body shows secondary outgrowth known as bud. After maturity, buds are itself a new organisms. Example, hydra and yeast. You can see the example of a budding in yeast. Take the screenshot. We will read this also, which is written in the pencil, written with pencil. So it is written, this process occurs under flow conditions, favorable conditions of moisture, temperature, light and nutrient availability. So next topic is fragmentation. First point, it is a mode of asexual reproduction in which parent body is divided into small pieces which are known as fragments. Next, each fragments are newly formed organisms. Example, Spirogyra. So it is a multicellular organism. You can see the diagram. Next is our spore formation. Spores are asexual microscopic reproductive unit. The spores germinate on the surface of nutritious media to form the new offsprings. Offsprings mean they are new parts. Example, rhizopus fungus, which is also known as bread mold. You can see the diagram. All these diagrams, students, are also available in the NCERT books. So if you want a more clearer diagrams, you can refer to the NCERT books of science class 10th. So we'll read the advantages also. A disease-free plant can be grown. Next advantage is plants can bear fruits and flowers earlier than those produced from seeds. Next, we can get seedless plants by artificial propagation. Next, new plants will be exactly like the parent plant. Next topic is vegetative propagation. In vegetative propagation, the reproduction which takes place by the help of vegetative plant is called vegetative propagation. Next point, vegetative propagation may take place by the following means. So there are different means through which vegetative propagation takes place, students. So first part is by leaf. You can see the example of bryophyllum. In the case of bryophyllum, a new plant originates from the margin of leaf. Since leaf is the vegetative part of the plant, therefore this reproduction is called vegetative propagation by leaf. Next is by the tuber, underground stem, which is also known as underground stem. So underground stem is called tuber, which stores food. Tuber contains small buds which are known as eyes. Each eye developed as a new plant, example potato, etc. Students, you must have seen small white parts on potatoes. So they also form a new plant. Take the screenshot. So we'll read about the tissue culture. So in tissue culture, the first point is the production of new plants from a small piece of plant. Tissue removed from the growing tip of a plant in a suitable growth medium is called tissue culture. So the advantages of tissue culture are: it is a very fast technique, it is a disease-free plant, it is a very little space is needed for tissue culture for developing new plants by tissue culture. Next topic is artificial vegetative propagation. So in artificial vegetative propagation, we have layering. So in layering, it is a mode of artificial vegetative propagation in which new plant develops from the developed stem. When the tip of stem touches the ground, it forms new roots at the junction. By cutting the old stem, two or more plants will form. Example, jasmine, lemon. You can see the example of jasmine, guys. Next topic is our grafting. It is a method of artificial vegetative propagation in which two plants, one with root and another without root, which is with shoot, are joined together to form a single new hybrid plant. The plant part with the root is called stalk, and the plant part without root is called scion. You can see the diagram of grafting. All these diagrams are very easy, students. Only one or two diagrams in this chapter is tough, which you need to practice. Seed is reproductive unit of a plant, and we have the definition of germination. The seed contains the embryo which develops into a seedling under appropriate condition. This process is called germination. Student, this definition is very important and is frequently asked in the examination. So please learn this. Example, mango, sugarcane, etc. Next important topic is our sexual reproduction in plants. So you can see the diagram here. So first we'll start from the pollination. What is pollination? The transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma is called pollination. Pollination is of two types. First is self-pollination and cross-pollination. So self-pollination, self-pollination, the transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma, either of the same flower or different flower of same plant, is called self-pollination. So what is cross-pollination? The transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma between different part of the same species is called cross-pollination. So after the pollination, pollen grains forms pollen tube which provides pathway and leads to fertilization. After the fertilization, ovary is converted into fruit and ovule is converted into seeds. So ovary, I have given this in easy manner also. Ovary gets converted into fruit and ovule gets converted into seed. Take the screenshot, students. Then we'll read about the calyx. What is calyx? Calyx protect the flower in its initial stages when it is in the form of a bud. Corolla, to attract insects to protect the reproductive organs. Next important topic is, students, our male reproductive system. Male reproductive system. So the first point is male reproductive system consists of a pair of testes, sperm duct, which is also a vas deferens, prostrate and seminal vesicle, and external gynecia, which is known as penis. Testes are formed in pair and oval in shape. Testes secrete testosterone hormone and sperm. The process of formation of sperm is called spermatogenesis. Sperm is carried out by the help of a tube from the testis to urethra is called sperm duct or vas deferens. Seminal vesicle and prostrate gland secrete white alkaline fluid which provides nourishment and motility of sperm. Testes are located in a sac-like structure known as scrotum to maintain the temperature optimum for spermatogenesis. An important note is given, students, here. The gametes are special cells called reproductive cells which contains only half number of the chromosomes as compared to the normal body. Example, sperm is 23 in number plus 23 eggs is equals to zygote, which forms a zygote 46 in number. Now, what is puberty? The age at which the sex hormones begin to be produced and the boy and the girl become sexually mature is called puberty. Take the screenshot. Now, students, you can see here the diagram of male reproductive system. Students, we'll end this video here only. हम इस वीडियो को यहीं पर एंड करते हैं क्योंकि स्टूडेंट्स वरना ये वीडियो बहुत ही ज़्यादा लेंदी हो जाएगा. नेक्स्ट हमारा जो टॉपिक रहेगा वो रहेगा फीमेल रिप्रोडक्टिव ऑर्गन, उसको हम नेक्स्ट वीडियो के अंदर कवर करेंगे. स्टूडेंट्स, अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छा लगा हो तो प्लीज़ हमारे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और हमारे वीडियो को लाइक कीजिए. ये चैप्टर बहुत ही ज़्यादा ईजी लैंग्वेज के अंदर नोट्स में दिया गया है और नेक्स्ट वीडियो में हम इसके क्वेश्चन आंसर्स भी देखेंगे. थैंक यू सो मच स्टूडेंट्स.